Happy March. Guys, February was a whirlwind. I was really lagging behind in what I wanted to do, and let me tell you, I got my stats somewhat padded up at the end of the month, because as you'll see, I crammed in a bunch of novellas the last 3 days of February, because I was like, I have to finish my bingo boards. And I do it to myself, but I wanted to finish it, and I had planned to finish it, and I got sucked into Married at First Sight, thanks to my boss. And when I go all in on something, I go all in. I started 2 podcasts, needed to get caught up in those podcasts. And so I've only watched the current season 14. But I downloaded the first season because I'm like, I might as well just go back and start at the beginning too while I wait for new episodes to come. And since Big Brother's over, and Big Brother won't be back for another couple months, and I thought about maybe trying to stream Big Brother Canada, and I was like, that's too much. I want something easy that's already on my TV. But anyway. And I had some down days in February, but that's okay. We push through. We make it work. So I'm here to do my wrap up. And I'm just going to, like last time, just read off of my stats list. This is also all of my blog posts in my blog, which is always in my link tree. And it has links to all of my reviews once they're posted for all of these books singly. And then they are in my vlogs as well. I talk about them each, but I go more into depth into my blog reviews. So just wanted to throw that out there. I know some people aren't into blogs anymore, but I like being able to sit down and take a little bit of time and write my thoughts out. So yeah, I read 19 books for a total of 4,928 pages. I averaged about 0.63 days a book. The average page count was 259.37. I read 2 books that were less than 100 pages, 6 books in the 100-page range, 1 book in the 200s, 8 books in the 300s, and 2 books in the 400s. And 10 of the books I read specifically for clubs and or readathons. 8 of my books had diversity. I picked up 8 new authors, and I reread 1 book. I previously owned one of the books in paperback and added 16 to my wish list. I have since bought at least one of them in paperback. And then I read the one I already owned in paperback and then 18 books in ebook format. 4 of the books were published traditionally. 1 was from a small publisher, because I do think that there is a difference. And 14 were indie published. And then in my decade breakdown, I had 1 in the 1990s, 2 published in the 2000s, 11 in the 2010s, and 5 published in the 2020s. Okay, so my average rating was 4.93 stars. I had 6 5-star books, 5 4.5-star books, 7 4-star books, and 1 3-star book. I read 2 urban fantasies, 6 straight fantasy romance, 2 historical romance, 1 sci-fi romance, and 8 contemporary romance. For my contemporaries, I broke them down into 5 straight contemporaries. That means just like normal contemporaries. I didn't have like a sub genre for them. 2 were rom-coms and 1 was a small town romance. So we will get into what I read now. This might just be a quick list. So these might be shorter videos compared to everything else that I published, but that's okay. We'll get through. So book 1, One Hot Italian Summer by Karina Halley. I gave this book 5 stars. I really liked it. When I read it at the beginning of February, we had a crazy snowstorm going on. So I was like, I'm going to read a summer book. We are going to spend our mind in Italy in the summer while there's crazy snow going outside. So that was a great way to start the month. And then I immediately jumped into my Feb reads. So I picked up War Prize by Elizabeth Vaughn. I gave this 4.5 stars. Warning, this ends in a cliffhanger. The first 3 books in this series are about the main couple. I did not know that going in. I saw all of the covers were different. kind of assumed, but I didn't want to read blurbs and get too far into it and not know that. So it ends very abruptly. The second book, which we'll talk about in a second, also ends abruptly. So maybe that's just her style, but a new author to me. I did really like it. It gave me a little bit of, and this was published 2006, I want to say. It was early 2000s. So, or I guess mid 2000s, technically. But anyway, I really liked it. 4.5 stars. That cliffhanger, though, it comes out of nowhere, and you're just like, where's the rest of the book? And then I immediately went to Goodreads, and I was like, okay, they're in book two as well. I was like, okay, this is not an HEA. So, warning. And then I immediately picked up book 2, which is War Sworn, also by Elizabeth Vaughn. I gave this book 4 stars. Not too much development happened in this book, pushing forward our people's relationships. So, in the first one is all about our heroine getting claimed. I don't even remember their names, guys. Our heroine was claimed as a war prize by the, barbarian in the first book, and then they're headed back to his homelands, and then they come across a town where a plague has happened. She's been trained as a healer, and so she decides to stop to see what she can do, send word back to her home, and just warn them that, hey, this fort in this town suffered from a plague. This is what I was able to find out. We'll see if we can save anybody. And then all of the barbarians get hit with the plague, and they've never dealt with illness before. So most of the book is camped out outside this town dealing with this plague. Once again, ends abruptly. You kind of saw the ending coming a little bit more this time, or maybe I just knew it could end at any point, so I was ready for it at any point, but I still liked it. I do want to at least read the next book in the series to finish out their HEA before the end of the year, but it's not at the top of my list. And then I needed to read the Rake Appreciation Society book for the month of February, and that was Annie's Song by Katherine Anderson. I gave this 4 stars. I liked it. It just didn't quite, the biggest thing for me is it didn't really hit me emotionally. I cry very easily, and I tear up very easily. I'm very easily affected emotionally, even more so when I read. And no joke, I will never forget this moment where I saw a ding go up on my phone, look down, it's a notification. Somebody's posted in the Rake Appreciation Society Discord. Oh my God, I just started chapter 12. I've already cried 4 times. Or I just started chapter 6. And I looked, and then I checked and I was reading it, and I looked, and I'm like, I'm on chapter 12 and I haven't even teared up. What's wrong with me? Because usually I'm a sympathetic crier, and they always say, when you're comforting someone, the worst thing you can do when they are crying is cry yourself, because then it becomes about you. And I'm just no. I watch a friggin' TV commercial where people are crying and I start crying because it just triggers in me, and I'm a sympathetic crier. I can't help it. But if I ever became an actor, I could cry at the drop of a hat. But anyway, so I read that, 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. I do want a copy of it, just if nothing to have the pretty step back. And I think for what this book was, and it was published in the 90s, it was really well written. It just didn't hit me quite as emotionally as I was expecting. And I don't know, it just didn't hit me. So then I picked up another Farrah Fed book, and I went with another new to me author, and I did Broken Chains by Demelza Carlton. Guys, this book was a struggle. It took me 4 or 5 days to get through it. I started skimming it heavily at the 60% mark. And it was only 170 pages. Maybe I should have DNF'd it. But there was enough little bit in it to keep me going that was interesting and intriguing. And I just wanted to see what was happening. And it was slightly predictable in that I could tell what was kind of happening. And then the author is Australian, and I've read Australian books before where they use slang, but I feel like the slang was so overdone in this book, it kept like jarring me. So it was like, if there's like slang used every once in a while, you're like, okay, I can kind of figure out what it means. I kind of know the basics. But this, it was just like, wait, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does that mean? How do these all go together? So it just was a little much in the beginning that it took me a bit to get into the book. And then like nothing was happening at 60%. And I was like, I just need something to happen, peeps. Let's keep going. And then when I was doing my stats and filling out my Google form at the end to get it into my spreadsheet, I was like, it's 170 pages. Are you kidding me? I was so just like done at that point. But I gave it 3 stars because there were good parts in it. I don't know if I'm ever going to pick up another one of her books again, but you never know. Never say never. But so that was my lowest rated book of the month. All right. After reading that, I knew I needed to pick up a good fantasy romance because I didn't want to get in a slump. And because I was reading that book, I just didn't want to read. So I picked up. I have a copy. This is the one that I bought. Enthralling New York by Tracy Lorn. This is the second book in her Perished Woods series. I read the first book in October. Loved it. This kept me out of a slump. 5 stars. I love this book. And I am nervous and terrified, but so trusting in Tracy Lorn when she writes the 3rd book. What the heck is going to happen in this series? So good. So good. If you like fantasy romance, if you like monster romance without getting too monster because he's only half orc, definitely try this out. You don't have to read the first book in the series. The first book in the series is Tamed by the Troll. But it's really good too. I gave that 5 stars as well. But I definitely think that this is like a 5.25 if that one's a 5. But I loved it. It was so great. I immediately bought a paperback copy, as you can tell. I did not read this in paperback. And it was just it was what I needed at the time. I needed a good fantasy romance to keep me from getting in a slump, to keep me in the mood to finish my Ferrofeb board. And this book did that. I can't wait to read whatever else Tracy Lorn has. She also has sci-fi alien romances. I will be picking those up soon, for sure. And then I needed to get to my Kate Daniels reads, or at least at the time I thought I needed to get to them. The live show was pushed back a couple of times, so we actually didn't have it till the beginning of March. But I read book 9.5 in Kate Daniels. This is Iron and Magic, and this is also the first book in a trilogy set around Hugh d'Ambry and Alara. And so this is a novella in the Kate Daniels. So Kate Daniels is in our main POV. And we basically get to see Hugh and what he's going through after Roland exiled him and how he has to kind of try to figure out how to live the rest of his life now. And he gets in an arranged marriage with Alara because he needs to provide a base for the Iron Dogs and they need help being protected. So it was great. I wasn't expecting a marriage of convenience. I'm firmly back on the Hugh train. I can't wait for them to write the rest of the trilogy. And I'm super excited to read more. I love Alona Andrews. And I need to know what Alara is. I need to know what Alara is. She's got some power in her. And then it was time to finish Kate Daniels, book 10, Magic Triumphs. This book. This is one of the best ending books to a series I have ever read. It was so good. I did want a little bit more of happiness between Kate and Curran. I wanted to see more of them being happy after the war because we only got like a chapter and then the epilogue was setting off the spin-off series, but I tried not to do too much speculation going into it. I gave it 5 stars if you couldn't tell. Kate and Curran, man. Kate and Curran. I cried multiple times. I laughed. We got to see almost everybody. A couple of people died, which I wasn't happy about. Although when we had our live show, they were like, no, with the magic in the world, one of them probably didn't die. And that was the one I was most upset about. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But if you haven't picked up Kate Daniels yet, please do. One of the best urban fantasies I have ever read. The way that this ended, I wanted more, but it felt right. I just wanted more. And it took everything in me not to pick up the spin-off series right away, because I like to read my book club books closer to when the meeting is, so everything's still fresh in my head. It took everything in me not to immediately pick up Aurelia Rider. But, I mean, 10 out of 10 stars for Kate Daniels. 10 out of 10 on the books. It's so good. And I don't know why I ended up with book 10. Out of all the books of Alona Andrews I could have owned in paperback, I had book 10 and Kate Daniels. So, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But I loved it. So good. Okay. Okay, then I needed a little bit of a change of pace, because I knew after reading Enthralled by the Orc, and it was so good, and then jumping to Alona Andrews, I knew if I went straight back to another fantasy romance, I needed it to be on the same level. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be happy, and I was going to hit a book hangover. So I shifted lanes completely, and I picked up Teased by Fire by Molly O'Hare. This is book 1 in her Teased by Love series. Another new to me author. I have almost all of her books on my Kindle that I've gotten through like 99-cent sales or whatever sales that I've seen, or BookBub or whatever. And I finally picked it up, and I really liked it. It was super fun. I gave it 4.5 stars. Our heroine was super quirky. Her name is Olive, and I remember that because the hero called her Olive Oil all the time. And it was super cute, and I really liked it. And they kept having moments in the book where I was just like, this better not do the normal trope, or this better not happen the way that I think this is going to happen, because I won't be happy. And then it didn't. Multiple times. I was just like, oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank goodness. I loved it. I really loved it. The only reason I gave it 4.5 instead of 5 is because I could have used a little bit more like buildup of their romance, because there was a little like a couple month time jump. So I wanted to see more of their emotional development instead of their physical development, but I still really liked it, and it was still really good. And then I immediately picked up the novella following it, Teased by Tinsel, which is book 1.5 in the Teased by Love series. And this is just it's a time jump after. So after the first book, the next Christmas, they got married. So this is their year anniversary. So it's their second Christmas together as a couple. And the hero, Hank, gets a cabin kind of away from the city. So they go out and they spend a few days at the cabin, and then they drive home the day after Christmas to spend Christmas with their family. Super cute, super steamy. I love it. Olive is super quirky, and I can see how for some authors it'd be a little too much, but she was the same quirky throughout. That's just who she was. It didn't go up and down. She just was who she was, and it felt more real to me. So I really liked it. 4.5 for the novella as well. And yeah, so I read those, and then I picked up the Smart Women Read Romance Patreon exclusive review, and that was The Beast of Clan Kincaid by Lily Blackwood. I give this book 4 stars, and I liked it. It was a Highlander romance. I think Juliet Cross put it the best way during the live show. It feels like a debut book. It just needs a little bit more polishing, but I enjoyed it, and I'm intrigued to read the other 2 books in the trilogy for sure. And then I went back to my fantasy romance, and I picked up Warrior's Regret by November Dawn. I gave this book 4.5 stars. This was so good. I really liked it. From what I could tell, this is her debut book. It's the only book that she's written, and I need more, November. I need more. Holy cow, this was so good. I love the unique take. This is about demon hybrids. It's a low fantasy setting, and I really enjoyed it. It was slightly predictable, and I could have used it to be longer. I think it was like 170-ish pages again, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I followed her on Goodreads, and I followed her on Amazon. And if she sets up a website and has a newsletter, I will be signing up for her newsletter, because I'm excited to see where she can go if this is her debut friggin' book. But if you're into it, really like it. And for a rejected mate trope, this wasn't that angsty, I feel like, at least for me. So yeah, I really liked it. Okay, and then book 13. This was the last book I needed to fill my Pharaoh Feb prompt. my Pharaoh Feb bingo board prompts. What I picked up Sunday's Child by Grace Draven. This is a novella, a holiday fantasy romance novella. I gave it 4 stars. It did focus a little bit more on our hero's journey than the romance, and I could have used more of a like HEA type of ending but it was super cute. I loved it. I mean, it's Grace Draven. I've never rated anything of hers less than 4 stars. Honestly, most of her books are 4.5 or 5 stars for me, but I really enjoyed it. And how often do you see a holiday fantasy romance novella? Not very often, or at least it took me forever to find just that one, so who knows. All right, and then book 14, I picked up Crave by Sonia Nova. This is an alien romance. This is the first book in this series. I need to have better notes when I sit down and film these, but we're just going to go with it. And this one was kind of typical trope. He's with a race that has saved humans from another race. They've kind of been modified, and now they kind of go around saving different worlds from the lizard aliens who created them. And in exchange, there's a DNA testing that happens with single, unmated, child-free women, and when they get DNA tested, if there's a 98.5 chance better, or like it's like a percentage, and if it's 98.5 or more, they immediately get teleported to wherever their mate is. So yeah, DNA testing, kind of forced mating, but it's really good. I really loved it. I gave it 4 stars. I could have used a little bit more of them together. And we got a lot of good togetherness of them in the beginning, because when she gets teleported there, they're under attack. So he's trying to get there to save her so she doesn't die and then get her out. And he's a pilot. That's how he's a warrior, by being a pilot. And so he gets them out on a plane, and the plane goes down in the mountains. And so then it's like survival-y, and it's just them. And it's sweet. But then I felt like once we got past that was it. It was physical, and then he was off fighting again. And I wanted to see more of them bond in the normal setting and not while they were surviving, if that makes sense. But I loved it. Then I went with another change of pace, and I reread Beard Science by Penny Reed. This is the 3rd book in our Winston Brothers series. And I've been wanting to reread this lately, even more so because Smart Women Read Romance did an episode recently on the 2nd book from their spin-off series. And I've been wanting to reread Cletus and Jen, because it's Cletus and Jen. 5 stars again, loved it. And it was just what I was needing at the time, 100%. Okay, we're almost done, I promise. All right, so the 16th book I read was A Very Beery New Year by Jackie Lau. This is book 3.5 in her Cider Bar Sister series. Super cute novella. And it is a little time jumpy. It's not just over New Year's, but the culmination of it happens over New Year's. And so this is one of the main heroines is Nicole, and this is her, I think, cousin Kelsey, who's also a bartender at the cider bar where they all hang out. And this is a romance with her and one of her new regulars. He's an introvert that his family forces him to go out and socialize. So every Thursday when Kelsey is working, he goes to the bar and he sits down and he has a pint and he reads a book for an hour, and that's his socializing. But it's super cute. I really liked it. 4 stars. I could have just dealt with it being longer, and that's it. But, you know, it was super cute. It was around 100 pages. I really liked it. I mean, Jackie Lau, we got a lot of good food stuff in here, a lot of fun antics. I love Jackie Lau. So definitely, if you haven't read any of her books, pick them up. My favorite is her Baldwin Village series, but Cider Bar Sisters is also really good. And then I continued my Jackie Lau binge because I needed novellas. So I've been saving a lot of her novellas for like a rainy day kind of a thing. So then I picked up book 1, and this is Holiday with the Wongs, the next 2 books. So this is book 1 and Holiday with the Wongs. And this is A Match Made for Thanksgiving by Jackie Lau. And this book sets up basically the whole 4-book series. And they're all super cute. They're all based around holidays. I've read book 3 and 4 already. I know I read them out of order, which is weird for me. But so Nick goes home to his family for Thanksgiving, and basically his grandparents and his mother have brought blind dates for him and his 2 brothers and sister. And so they're trying to set everybody up. And when he gets there, the woman that we see him have a one night stand with at the beginning of the book is matched with his brother. So that's super fun. And he's just like, no, she's mine. What is this? Well, she's mine, not my brother's. And I don't know, it's super cute. I really loved it. Once again, lots of food, lots of family. I love Jackie Lau. The way her books make me feel is just like so cozy and homey, and I want to live where she lives with all of this amazing food. Like, please take me there. I mean, all of the different kinds of Asian food and Indian food. These people, like, apparently Toronto is like known for being a foodie city, and I need to go there. Because some of the things that Jackie Lau posts on her Instagram, let me tell you, if you like fun foodie pics and romance book stuff, follow Jackie Lau's Instagram. She gets you. She gets you with the food in Toronto as well. But anyway, we'll move on. And then I read the 2nd book in the Holiday with the Wong series, and this is A Second Chance Road Trip for Christmas. And this is actually the older brother Greg that Lily was paired with in the 1st book, and he is tasked to assist in driving his high school girlfriend home to town for college because they also dated into college. I'm like flubbing my words all up here. So he is kind of forced last minute by his mom to drive her home because they live in the same small town and she's like a few blocks or a few houses away or something. So he's driving her back home with him. Also, I should say, the 1st book, I can't remember 100%, but I think that all of the Wongs, I think their mom is white. They're either white and Asian or they're all Asian. And in the 1st book, Lily is Asian as well. And then in this one, Greg is at least part Asian. And then his heroine, Tasha, she is actually African American. So that was fun too. And they dated in high school and he's driving her home. There's a huge snowstorm and they have to pull over and they have to rent a room in a hotel, and it's a 1-room only, and the heat's gone out from the crazy storm, and so they have to both use the same bed for warmth. And it was cute. I gave A Match Made for Thanksgiving 5 stars, and then I gave this one 4 stars. I just wanted, there was a lot of talk about their relationship and flashbacks to things that happened with them when they were in high school and early college before they broke up. And it wasn't like a bad breakup. It was just that they both were in different colleges on different sides of the country. And so they just kind of distance grew between them. And it was more work to keep the relationship than they both could put into it at the time and also still have successful school careers. So then they ended up breaking up. But they're back together years later. It was cute. I wanted a little bit more of how they were going to make it work now in the present day and not as much as reminiscing. Although with it being a second chance romance novella, the reminiscing kind of helped make their relationship seem more full, but I just wanted a little bit more firmness at the end to really believe in the HEA, because I mean, while they didn't have issues, they did, I mean, their lives have changed. It's been years since they've seen each other or even dated each other. So that's all I needed from that one, but still 4 stars. I still really liked it. The third book is for Chinese Lunar New Year, and that's the third brother, and it's a fake dating trope. And then the fourth book is Valentine's Day, and that one is the daughter, the sister of the group, and she dates one of her brother's best friends. And that one was super cute too. I loved all of them. I think the only way to get this book in physical format is with the bind-up copy, but I'm okay with that. But I love all the different covers as well. But anyway, I'll stop talking about that. But anyway, I love Jackie Lau. She's one of my favorite contemporary authors. And then the last book I read was another new to me author. I picked up Level Up by Kathy Yardley, and I gave this book 4.5 stars, I think. I did not fix. My blog poster is wrong. It says 6.5 stars. That is not correct. I do not rate things that high. I usually, 5 is my max, at least for now. But this was super fun. This was set in Washington. I don't know if it's quite new age. They're definitely in their early to mid 20s. But this is 2 geeky people. They're both they're both engineers, but one of them's now like a project manager for a game company in Washington, a video game company, and the heroine learns that one of the bigger engineers, she's working in audio right now, is going to retire or leave, and she wants his position, so she decides she needs to socialize more to help kind of up her chances of being able to get the job. And then she ends up making friends with a group of girls, and they're all like geeky and love Doctor Who and love to nerd out and love fan fiction and stuff. And like one of them's a cosplayer, and I was like, I could fit right in with these girls. This is my jam. I loved it. And she ends up having a romance with a coworker who is also her landlord. She's renting a room from him in his house, and they've been just friendly and good roommates for now. And then there's a situation arises where she kind of gets back at some person being a dick, and she kisses him, and then at that point neither of them can stop thinking about each other in that way because the chemistry was just like so explosive. But I really liked it. 4.5 stars. I definitely want to read the rest of the books in the series. And I'm really excited to read more from Kathy Yardley. She's been on my TBR for a while. I think she's also done some books for Smarty Pants Romance. So I need to get on it. But that was the last book I read. Those last 3 I finished on February 28th. I crammed it. But yeah, so those are the 19 books that I read in February. That was a lot. It was a lot. I was going to try to run through them quicker, but you know me. So plans for March. I don't really do TBRs, but I do have books that I want to read. So for book club books that I am for sure going to be picking up, I will be picking up The Proposal by Mary Balog. This is for Rake Appreciation Society. And that's the 3rd Thursday of March. So the 17th, oh, it's St. Patty's Day. And then the Smart Women Read Romance book is going to be Burn by Suzanne Wright. And this is the first book in, I think, a demon series. So that'll be fun. I haven't read Suzanne Wright before. So that'll be a new to me author. And those are the 2 book club books that I'm for sure going to read. I did see the Ravish for Romance one, and I'm intrigued by that. It is on my TBR. I just don't know if I'm going to be in the mood for it. I feel like the end of the month, I usually kind of more read whatever I feel like, and a lot of the times the book club books aren't what I'm up for. The Kate Daniels, because the Kate Daniels lives got pushed back from February, and I think they kind of wanted a little bit of a break too. So Aurelia Ryder is a 0.5 in a book 1 Blood Heir. We're not having the meeting until I think April 8th. So I might read those at the end of March, or I might pick them up that first week in April. I don't know, quite sure yet. Who knows? I might not be able to take it and pick it up anyway, because I really need to see what happens. But I think those are it for like book club books. There are there are a lot of new releases coming out in March. I have a quarter one wrap up, or a quarter one new releases that I posted back in January on my blog. And so there's a lot of books in March. We got Eloisa James' new book. I've got the next book in Anna Harrington's Lords of the Armory series. I don't know, that last Tuesday in March, there's a lot of books coming out. But there are 3 other books that have since been announced since I made that post. I knew about Elsie Silver's Gold Rush Ranch. I think that's a fall start. I think a false start is what it's called. But this is book 4. It comes out March 18th. I cannot wait to read it. I'm so excited. We also have Claire Kingsley's book. This is going to be book 6 in the Bailey's Brothers series and the final book in that. This is Levi's book, Rewriting the Stars. It's out March 10th. I cannot wait. And I'm so happy that she already announced that there will be a Haven series spinoff, because in the town, like in Bailey's Brothers, the Bailey family and the Haven family are like feuding in their town. And she already announced that she will be doing a Haven family spinoff. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. And then Jackie Lau also recently announced that the 4th book in the Cider Bar Sisters series, which is her favorite rebound, is going to be out. I can't remember the date. Sometime mid-March. That one's going to be a love triangle. And I don't like love triangles, but I trust Jackie Lau. I trust Jackie Lau. And we've kind of seen the buildup for this. So there's 2 of the Cider Bar sisters left. They're not actually sisters. They're just friends that hang out at the cider bar. And so the one in this book, she's been dating this like super rich, famous millionaire, super rich dude. And her friends have noticed at times in the other books where something just seems like not quite right, or he's not 100% in the relationship, or something's just slightly off. So in this book, she gets reunited with someone that she used to know. I don't know if it's an old boyfriend or just an old friend, or how they're related. I didn't really read too much out of the blog except to see which cider bar sister it was. So that's that. And then I think she also said in her newsletter the last book in the series is going to come out this year. But yeah. And that one I'm super excited for, because I feel like when Jackie Lau addresses some of the more, I don't know, hard-hitting topics like equality, racial equality, gender equality, I guess LGBTQ plus equality. I know there's a better way to say that, but she does it so that like the point comes across and it's really well done, but you don't feel like you're being lectured at, and it just feels like it's so normal in these people's day-to-day life. But anyway, so I feel like she handles those kinds of topics really well. And she's dealt with like anxiety and mental health issues and stuff in the past before. But the last book is going to be, I can't remember her name, Sophie, I think. She suffers from depression really bad. And as someone who's also suffered from depression, I'm really excited for her book. I'm really excited for her book. It's going to be the last book of the series. Oh my gosh, but I can't wait. It'll come out sometime this year. I think she said in the newsletter later in the year. But anyway, that's not what this book is. That's not what the next book is. So the next book is going to be book 4. It's a love triangle, her favorite rebound, and I can't wait for it. I know that there's more coming out in March that I'm excited for, but those are the 3 new releases that I am super duper excited for, plus the other ones I mentioned I'm excited for as well. But those are all already on my blog, and I haven't really talked about them too much outside of Elsie's Silver, because I knew Elsie's was coming in March, but we didn't have a release date. So I have that on my blog post as to be announced. Book 4. We didn't even have a title yet. But because she had put in the end of book 3 in March, book 4 will be coming. And it's going to be a Grumpy Griff and Nadia, and I am so excited. I'm so excited. I can't wait. 3 of my favorite authors are releasing books in the month of March. Plus, we got 2 of my favorite historical authors, and plus whatever else is coming out. I better be in a reading mood. I better be in a reading mood because it's going to be coming hard and fast. And that was, wow, okay. Yeah, we're just going to ignore that double entendre. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble again. And, you know, like, subscribe, all that jazz. I'm going to hopefully get this up first weekend of March, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know what you read, if any of these sound good, or if there's anything you're looking forward to reading to in March, and let me know. But until then, I will see you soon.